Thanks. So I'm Reid McDougall. I'm with Sustainable Development Technology Canada. What I wanted to do today was talk a little bit about the SD Tech Fund in particular. Sort of miss half the audience there if we stand behind this thing. The SD Tech Fund in particular, and a little bit about SDTC, an intake process that we have going on right now, and a little bit how the types of projects we support and how the projects move through our pipe. So SDTC is we're a non-governmental, not-for-profit organization where we operate at an arm's length from the government, though we do report up through the Minister of Natural Resources. We're not government employees. We operate a fund that is entirely funded by the federal government. We operate actually two funds that are funded by the federal government. The first is the one I'm spending more time with on a deal flow side. It was the SD Tech Fund. It's a $550 million fund that was launched in 2002. It's been recapped a couple times since its launch. And then more recently, the $500 million Next Gen Biofuels Fund. Both the funds, though they have slightly different focus, they operate in a complementary way, with the Next Gen Biofuels Fund supporting helping companies and technologies jump that higher CapEx hurdle that can be associated with demonstration projects for biofuels plants. The focus of the Next Gen Biofuels Fund is really cellulosic, ethanol, and biodiesel plants. And the SD Tech Fund is really designed to support the pre-commercial demonstration of clean technologies. So when SDTC operates in a similar place, there's some overlap with venture capital groups. We tend to follow on from programs such as IRAP, where there's a little bit of a handoff occasionally from projects that graduate from IRAP and they're ready to demonstrate their technology in a pre-commercial scale. We identified back in 2002 there's this sort of funding gap you run into in here, where there's this higher capital, higher technology risk. And SDTC is really focused on helping support those projects with non-repayable grant dollars. Now this is a grossly oversimplified innovation chain. We go from fundamental research to product commercialization and market. Wouldn't it be so great if it was so entirely linear, the process? But the principle is that at the time, you had a lot more industry and government support in the sort of pure fundamental research and development side, and then there was more conventional forms of financing for products with lower technology risk. So SDTC is designed to step in and to take on technology risk for that scale-up of those technologies that are past that prototype stage and ready to develop in a pre-commercial stage. So the purpose of our fund, as we said, is to support that pre-commercial demonstration project. One of the lenses that we evaluate our projects through is the environmental benefits that will accrue from the technologies, and those take the form of climate change benefits, clean air, clean water, and clean soil. Another part of that mandate, that mission that SDTC has to build an infrastructure for clean tech in Canada, is this idea of collaboration. And it's collaboration not just between the public and private sector, but it's collaboration with the financial community as well, and other NGOs. It manifests itself in the form of a consortium requirement that we have for our projects. So we don't fund companies, we fund consortium-led projects. And the consortia are made up of a technology innovator or a licensee, somebody who's the lead, who owns the technology, and then either other funding agencies or demonstration hosts or channel partners that represent strategic and important paths to getting the technology to market. We also use that consortium concept to demonstrate market pull. So stronger consortium will have participation from end users or distribution partners, and that can really strengthen the market pull for technologies and strengthen the proposition. So the SD Tech Fund is open it's not trickle funding. We have 2 intakes a year, one in the spring and one in the fall, and we're right in the middle of one right now. It opens September 1st and closes October 20th. This is a little bit of data just around the history of the fund, and as Chris said, I'm relatively green to the whole thing. My my background's in Calgary in the waste management and the water sector, but I've been with SDTC through 2 rounds now. Historically, we're just closing off our 17th round of funding, and we've opened our 18th round. The total number of applications we've processed is 1,800 applications, give or take, representing through the consortium concept, having multiple people participate in the project team, over 5,600 companies. The demand remains strong. We still see round over round, despite attempts to really manage that deal flow in terms of quality, not quantity. We still see round over round increasing quality of applications and steady numbers. Every round over the last 5 or 6 rounds, it seems like we're hitting between 85 and 100 applications, and they're increasing in quality and fit as awareness about the fund increases. So over 16 rounds, because we still haven't closed off the 17th, which opened this spring, it's 195 projects. We've allocated $478 million, and that leverages up into $1.6 billion in total project value. So anybody doing math on a $550 million fund with $478 million allocated can sense that there's a recapitalization event that's going to be required in the near future. It's just arithmetic. We are working actively to recap, negotiating with the federal government to discuss recap and how that's going to work. And we've had really great signals from them. And I think the terms are cautious and optimistic that we'll be recapped yet again. I think this would be our 3rd recap event. So I talked a little bit about the lens through which we view projects, and I thought I'd crack this open a little bit because this is sort of where I end up dealing with applicants. We strongly encourage people to talk to an applications manager before they get into the fund and go through the process and fill out the statement of interest, which is that first gate you've got to cross through to access the fund. And these are the kind of discussions we end up having when we're assessing fit, because we keep in touch with companies whether you apply or not. If we consider you to be a little bit early in innovation, we like to keep in touch because eventually you may have the project that you need to demonstrate that we can plug into with the timing that's going to work. So we look at the stage of development and then the level of innovation associated with the technology. Is it past proof of concept, but is it pre-revenue? We want to target that sweet spot as where our mandate sits. And we also want to assess how much de-risking is required. It's an important piece for us because we want to participate where there's some technology risk. Our intent isn't to jump in where there's no risk and then provide grant dollars. That looks a little bit more like project financing as opposed to technology de-risking. For us, it's sometimes tough to quantify how much technology risk in there, but it certainly equates directly to the level of innovation associated with the technology. Then we talk about consortium members. Are they representative of the path to market? Are strategic relationships represented in the consortium member? Does the technology lead really have a good handle on how to get this thing to market following the project? And the commercialization plan, we let SD business cases, which are collaborative, sector-specific workshops and business cases that are put together with all levels of government and industry, directing areas for where investment is needed to support innovation through a sustainability lens. We take those SD business cases and let them instruct priority areas of investment for us. And we look at that when we're evaluating technologies. How do they align with the priority areas of investment we've identified? And then, of course, the environmental benefits, which can be a bit difficult to quantify, but it's actually a really important piece for us to report on because we have a double mandate from the government through Parliament is to invest and generate a return, sort of like a private equity group would do or a venture capital group. We have to generate a return on the dollars we invest. But we also have to generate a return from the environmental benefits perspective, which can be more difficult to calculate.